So I've been gone for a couple of weeks. I've been doing a lot of pistol qualifying. I've been sitting in classes and going to the gun range and, qualifying, trying to get some more things knocked out, some more licenses and stuff. And it's pretty much encompassed my time over the last couple of weeks. So I have been gone for a couple of weeks, sadly, because I love doing this. And but while I was gone, I did keep an eye on the news and everything happening, because the news cycle, like I've said in my past videos, it moves so fast. Even when Joe Biden, who was literally moving in reverse while the rest of the country was trying to move forward, the news cycle still moved very fast, especially with, CNN, MSNBC, and all them lying about Joe Biden's ability to run a country. And luckily, that's all coming to air right now. In my personal opinion, it's a different video, but I think we need to open an investigation, do a special counsel on everybody who backed Biden and was telling the lies to the American people about his competency. I think that's something that needs to be handled, simply because if the Democrats are willing to lie about something that big, being a president, that means they will do it again. So we know we need to lock them down on that. But while I was gone, of course, what catches my eye is Saturday Night Live doing their Trump tariff cold open, which absolutely is not funny whatsoever. And I got to tell you, first off, SNL's audience must be all liberals, because I have watched this, and I know a couple other people who've watched this, and they didn't think it was funny either. I think it's pretty ignorant. And one thing that I hate about Saturday Night Live, and it's the same thing I hate about CNN and MSNBC and NPR and all these hack liberal left-wing rags, is that they only love to focus on the bad, and they never really talk about the good things that are happening. Not at all. And Saturday Night Live, they're absolutely fantastic about that. They love milking their audience and their base by only giving you the bad points and never talking about the good things that happens. And it's absolutely fascinating to me how these people, they watch this, and sadly, people will watch this skit from SNL and believe every bit of it, never knowing what's really happening on the other side, because they're so uninformed, and they get their news from places like this, or, God forbid, Kim Kardashian or Taylor Swift, or even worse, The View. But let's go ahead and jump into this. I will be stopping this video and commenting, because there's just too much. There's too much to not comment on, too many things we have to get into on this. So it is about a 7-minute video, but I'm not going to play it in its entirety in one setting. I will be making comments along the way. But let's go ahead and get started on this, and, I don't know, maybe you'll think it's funny.
On Wednesday, President Trump gave a speech in the Rose Garden announcing his economic vision for America, including tariffs against almost every country we do business with. And like everything else so far in his presidency, it was a total home run. We go now to an encore presentation of Trump's historically awesome speech.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming out to hear about tariffs. My favorite word, tariff, which of course is short for terrific idea. They're the backbone of my incredible plan for our economy. It's actually even better than a plan, because it's a series of random numbers, like the numbers on the computer screen in Severance. You have no idea what the hell they mean, but I know what the numbers mean, okay? They mean we're gonna make America wealthy again. Mawa! Mawa, more. You're going to check your stock portfolio in a couple days and think, I'm almost too wealthy. We're doing Mawa. But before that, we're going to do Magda. Magda. Make America Great Depression again. You know what? It'll be great. It'll be better than great. It'll be a fantastic, unbelievable depression, the likes of which you've never seen before. We like to say the likes of which we've never seen before. This depression is going to be so great. We'll be the ones eating the cats and the dogs. That's going to be fun. Low and slow, you got to braise them. Yes, the stock market has crashed temporarily, but that is all part of the plan. It's simple economics, okay? If the stock market goes down and down and down and down and down, that means there's nowhere to go but up, or perhaps further down. But we gotta do these tariffs, folks. We have to. No idea why, but we have to do it. And now it's time for the really big piece of cardboard. Howard, you want to bring that up, please? This is Howard, my Commerce Secretary. Howard Lutnick, everybody. Look at him. Let me get that giant cardboard. I love this. Here we go.
All right, before we get into the cardboard, I gotta make a comment here about the tariffs, because it seems awful funny to me that, it seems like most people who are whining and crying about the tariffs really don't understand what's going on here. And, my question to all of them, when I talk to other Democrats or liberals who are absolutely just losing their minds about tariff, I ask them the same thing. Why are you against fair and equal trade? And what is your plan? Which, of course, they never have an answer for. Never. And Democrats don't have an answer for it. And one thing that everybody needs to understand is we have lost our manufacturing sector. We've lost it. We were, coming out of World War II, the manufacturing hub of the world. And over the years, we have lost it. And there's no one to blame, no particular party to blame. This is equally as bad on the Republicans as it is the Democrats, who have sold our manufacturing down the line. They've literally sold it off to everybody else. So both parties are actually, it's their fault. They're actually fully responsible for what has happened to our manufacturing sector. Because one thing that you cannot deny, whoever controls the manufacturing controls the world. That's pretty much how it works. And that's why China has had such a massive economic boom over the last 20 years, because right now they're controlling the manufacturing. So we have to stop that. We have to get the manufacturing back into America. But it's kind of hard to do when you have China, who runs these freaking sweatshops where they pay these people $5 a week, and make them live in the factories and then make them pay to live in the damn factories. When China does that, and then you have a 2% tariff on Chinese goods coming into America, then it's easy for companies like Apple to say, well, hell, we can shut our factories down here. We can go over there, get them built for a fourth of the cost. And with such a low tariff coming back into the United States, we can ship them back over here. It'll cost us virtually nothing. We can sell our phones for a ridiculously high price, because let's be honest, there's not a damn single cell phone in the world worth $1,200. And we can sell them for ridiculously high price, and then we can make hundreds of billions of dollars, which is exactly what Apple does. Verbatim, that's what they do. So what happens is, you got to remember, Bill Clinton had this same idea, except did nothing. But the Democrats were all for it when he was talking about it. Then Barack Obama had the same idea, but did nothing, but he was all for it. The Democrats were all for it when Barack Obama was talking about it. Trump finally comes in and looks at our imbalance, and we have an absolutely horrible trade imbalance in the United States. It is terrible. We take in $1 trillion worth of stuff from China every year, and they take in a few billion dollars from us every year. All right. And they charge us a higher tariff on the products that we send to them than we take in from them. All right. Take India, for example. India charges us 50% tariff on motorcycles we send to India, because they know that if we send motorcycles over there at a low tariff, that it's going to hurt their manufacturing sector, because Indian manufactures their own motorcycles, which are actually the two biggest motorcycles that sell in India are produced in India. So they charge us an extra high tariff to make our motorcycles we send over there can't compete. It's literally that simple. This is not hard to understand, but apparently it is for the smooth brains out there. So what we have to do is we have to do reciprocal tariffs back on them. If you're going to charge us 50%, we're going to charge you 50% for your goods, because this is what it comes down to. All right. And I didn't want to get into this part until after the video, but I'm going to go ahead and get into it now, because I know people like watching the videos. We are a net negative country. All right. All the countries that we deal with, most of them are net surplus countries. What do I mean by that? We import a hell of a lot more than we export, and we import them at a much lower tariff than what we export at. So we have to balance this, because we have lost our manufacturing sector, and whoever controls the manufacturing ultimately controls the world. Okay? And there's nobody to blame for this. I mean, the Democrats are equally responsible for us losing our manufacturing as the Republicans are, because the politicians, not the Republicans or the Democrats, all the politicians sold our manufacturing down the road years ago. Sold it down the road years ago. So companies like Apple could have their products made outside of the country at a much cheaper rate, import them back in even with the tariffs, and still do it cheaper. So Donald Trump says, no more. We have to get our manufacturing back, because if we don't control the manufacturing, that country suffers. And that's why China has had such a big economic boom over the last 20, 25 years, because they literally control the manufacturing. And look at China now. They are now a world power. Toward not too long ago, not so much. But now they are, because they control the manufacturing. So we have to get the manufacturing back into the United States. Let's move on with the video, and then I'll talk more about that in a minute.
Howard, this is Cheesecake Factory menu, Howard. This is for the luncheon after, okay? I'm getting bang bang tacos. Give me this. Thank you. Thanks, Howard. You're doing an amazing job figuring out the scary tariffs. You want to stay up here and be the face of tariffs with me? Come on.
No, I'm good.
He's modest, that's why. He's a modest guy. Here it is. Look at it, it's beautiful. We spent so much time and, frankly, millions of dollars on this piece of cardboard. And we listed the countries in an order that's neither alphabetical nor numerical for maximum confusion. And the tariffs will be reciprocal. We love the word reciprocal. Unless it's in the bedroom. Right, fellas? You want me to do what? Yeah. The guys know what I'm talking about. You know, some people...
And that is true. The tariffs have to be reciprocal. We cannot keep taking in other countries' products at such a low rate and then sending ours back out at such a high rate that we can't compete on the world market. And that's literally what's happening. I mean, it's happening everywhere. And we have to balance. There's such an imbalance in our trade right now. We have to balance our trade because this is what, like I said, the countries that lose the manufacturing, they're the countries that lose. And so we have to get our manufacturing back. Because coming out of World War II, we were the manufacturing hub of the world. And then over the years, it started, and I hate to say it because I love Ronald Reagan, but it pretty much started with Ronald Reagan. It was his idea for this whole free trade thing that was going, that became NAFTA, actually. And then George Bush worked on it and kind of started putting everything together. Then it was Bill Clinton who actually brought it home, signed it, and made the deal. And that was the worst thing we could have done was NAFTA. It was an absolutely horrible deal for America because all it did was pretty much guarantee that all of our factories were going to move out. And then when you get Democrats in charge like Sleepy Joe Biden, Otto Pen Biden, who wants to do nothing but raise corporate tax, then you have companies that say, well, hell, you're charging me 29% tax, all right? I send my products out that are being manufactured here, and I'm getting hit with a 50, 100, 150% tariff. Why don't I just go to China and make them? Why don't I just go to Mexico and make them? Why don't I just go to Canada and make them where I can get them made cheaper and I don't have to deal with the tariff problem and I can sell my products back in the United States at a lower cost, basically, because I only got a 2% tariff coming in as opposed to 150% tariff going out. So this has to be balanced. Somebody had to do this. And my question to the Democrats are, okay, if this doesn't work, then what is your plan? God knows, out of the last 16 years, you've had 12 years to figure it out. What is your plan? And they don't have a plan. They never have a plan, but they have a plan to bitch, whine, and moan, which is what they do. And this is what I tell them. Hey, it's been 2 months. Shut up and let's see what happens because somebody has to do something different. Or we can just keep doing what all the other presidents have done and let's add another $63 trillion to our debt. That's a great plan because that's the only plan that's going to happen if we don't try something new. And Donald Trump at least has the balls to try something new.
Say my plan is nonsense, but we're using a formula, okay? They call it a formula. It's very complicated, but let me explain how it works. Give me that. All right, so that's a triangle. I don't know what that is, but up here, that's she from China. And that's me stabbing him with a sword. And then down here, that's some sideways boobs. And anyway, you get it. Your money's gone, and that's okay. We're going to figure it out.
All right, that was pretty funny.
You know, no country is safe from my tariffs. I even put tariffs on an island that is uninhabited by humans. It's called Heard and McDonald Island. Ooh, McDonald Island. I'd love to visit there, right? McDonald Island. Can you imagine that? A Big Mac and a hula skirt. Ooh la la. You know, I had them mock up some artwork of McDonald Island. Howard, do you mind bringing that out, please? There we go. I want to go to there, Tina. Get me to God's country, right? Remember that? The point is, everything is going to be fine and or bad. Everyone's worried about prices going up, especially the price of groceries. Am I saying that right? Food from the grocery store.
So I think it's absolutely hilarious that these people like to whine and cry, well, the price of food's going to go up. It's going to go up extremely high. You mean extremely high over the 30% that Joe Biden raised it and the Democrats? Were you all whining and crying about it when Joe Biden was raising the cost of everything 30% across the board? Insurance, record premiums we're paying right now because of the Joe Biden administration. Record prices on groceries right now because of the Joe Biden administration. Record cost on cars right now because of the Joe Biden administration. All right. We have an incredibly ridiculous interest rates because of the Joe Biden administration. The average family cannot afford a house because of the Joe Biden administration. And all these liberals are going to whine and cry because Trump is trying to balance out our trade. This is amazing to me. Why don't we just relax and see what happens before we start whining and crying? And this is what I'm talking about with SNL, and this is what I hate, because what they're not mentioning is the things I mentioned before, that the interest rates have ticked down, that we're sitting at record low oil prices right now since Trump has been back in office, as opposed to the last disastrous administration under Autopen Joe, who now we find out wasn't even running the country. The Autopen, or whoever was controlling the Autopen, was running the country. So, but they're not going to mention any of that. They're just going to talk about the negatives. They're going to talk about the bad. And I got to be honest, right now, I don't see anything bad. And before you start on the stock market, oh my God, I'm so sick and tired of hearing, well, the stock market's hitting record low numbers. Well, actually, it's not hitting record low numbers. It can go much lower, folks. But guess what? My dad did not give me a lot when I was a kid, but he did give me one piece of advice. I can't tell you how many stock market crashes I have lived through. They're going to happen again and again and again and again. And my dad said one thing: if you ever have any stock and the stock market crashes, don't panic. Sit on it. It will come back. And what do you know? It's come back every single time. And the stock market did react to the tariffs as we knew it would. But guess what? It will come back. It's already coming back now. It's already starting to tick back up. And as more of these countries come to the table and we get the tariff wars straightened out to where it's fair and equal for America, that's the number one issue here. All right? Then the stock market will keep going up and going up and going up and going up. Because no matter what you say, all 4 years under Autopen Joe, even though he had higher stock market numbers, he did not have more gains than Donald Trump in his first 4 years.
Such an old-fashioned term. But we need to send a message to countries who have been ripping us off, like South Africa. South Africa puts a 60% tariff on everything we send them. And they've never even sent us one good thing. What about me?
All right, before this gets going on, this is stupid. This is the absolute worst Elon Musk impersonation I've ever seen. And Mike Myers, he's just a used up old actor. You know, back in his day, he was good. He's not funny at all. And this skit is not even the least bit funny. If anything, it's absolutely moronic. And but it's Saturday Night Live. It fits.
Kidding. Legalized comedy. That was from when I tried to buy the election in Wisconsin. I'm an idiot. I should have just bought Wisconsin.
And I've actually had this argument too, because I know a couple of liberals who have said that. You know, Elon tried to buy an election. Really? You want to pull out that thread? You mean like the Democrats did with Kamala Harris? Now we're finding out she's almost $2 billion to buy an election. And we're finding out that she already had a list of attorneys in line for when Joe Biden died in office that she was banking on. They were counting on Biden dying in office for her to assume the presidency. And they want to say that Elon tried to buy an election? Well, I'm going to tell you now. The only election I've ever seen that's been bought in my life was the Democrat election of 2024. You all pulled a coup on a sitting president that you all voted for. All right? Then, after the coup was pulled, and it was pulled by Kamala Harris with a little help from George Clooney and a couple of the other liberal idiots, then you liberals were told who you were going to vote for, and you fell in line. You didn't primary Kamala. Why do you think it took so long for Barack Obama to endorse her? Barack Obama wanted to hold a primary. Nancy Pelosi wanted to hold a primary. But they didn't. They put Kamala Harris, the idiot Kamala Harris, front and center, and then threw $2 billion at trying to buy an election. That's exactly what happened. And this is what I'm talking about here. You know what? I could see the humor in it if you balance the humor out on both sides. Well, I should have just bought Wisconsin. This is absolutely this isn't even a good Elon Musk. This is absolutely terrible. Mike Myers, who does great impersonations, does the worst Elon Musk I've ever seen in my life. But you know, if the other side would come out and say, well, we tried to buy one too at the cost of $2 billion with a B dollars, then it would have been a little funny. But when you're just constantly berating one side when the other side is equally guilty, it just kind of takes the fun out of it.
Glitch.
Pinwheel, 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 pinwheel.
And I'm back.
Elon is great, but sadly, it's time to never see you again, okay? You got to get back to Tesla, right? Because they're doing pretty bad.
Yes, recently our dealerships have been the target of many attacks, and suddenly no one likes Tesla cars. So I asked myself why, and then I answered myself because of me. Which is why we're introducing the new Tesla Model V, the first electric car in history to be fully self-vandalizing. With features like self-smashing headlights, self-slashing tires, and AI-powered graffiti. Yeah. You can choose from penises or swastikas, or my favorite, swastikas.
And you notice nobody laughs there because it's not funny. This entire skit is not funny. And I'm going to tell you right now, what's happening at Tesla is a travesty, an absolute travesty. And this is how stupid these people are, all right? Think about where Teslas are built. Most of the people who work at Tesla are Democrats. And you all are literally putting your own kind out of work. You're so stupid. These people attacking Tesla. But I was on the political forums and I made this comment the other day and it ended up getting, I don't know, something insane like 900 likes, like in an hour or something ridiculous. I live in the South. I live in a nice neighborhood. And I truly believe that the people in my neighborhood are trying to out Tesla each other because every other day there's a new Tesla in my neighborhood. And we're one of the few people in the neighborhood who does not own a Tesla. And I am not bullshitting you. It's like a Tesla car dealership out here in my neighborhood. All right. I'm in the South. None of these people are selling their cars and none of these Teslas are getting vandalized. And you want me to tell you why? Because we're in the South. If they walk out their door and you're running the key down the side of their Tesla, you might get shot. That's why. Because we don't play with that down here in the South. If you're going to tear our stuff up, there will be consequences. But you notice that most of this is going, California, Washington, Oregon, New York, Chicago, and the super liberal nut job areas is where this is happening at. It's not happening in the rest of the world where they have common sense.
Out of penises.
Wow. Swastikas and penises. We're truly the party of Lincoln.
Before I go, I just want to mention that I'm really smart, and these tariffs sound really dumb.
Okay, thanks, Elon. Good luck on Mars. And live from New York, it's Saturday Night!
That just was not funny. I'm sorry. I didn't see anything funny about it. I mean, Saturday Night Live has fallen so far from what it used to be. And you know what? I don't mind. Like I said, freedom of speech, fantastic. Freedom to do your comedy the way you want to do it, fantastic. And, if you want to make fun of Trump, knock it out. Go for it. At least make it funny. I mean, I have seen some pretty funny guys that do this. But SNL, they're typical liberal news crap is what they are. And like I said, they're only going to talk about the bad points. And I got to be honest, none of this to me was a bad point. The tariffs needed to happen. At one point, it has to happen. We cannot keep the imbalance in our trade and our manufacturing sector constantly leaving America. And I don't understand why people don't understand that. That is mind-boggling to me. Because like I said, whoever controls the manufacturing controls the world. It's not hard to understand. And every time I ask a liberal, why do you hate fair trade? Well, it's not fair trade. It's Trump rising the price. No. It's fair trade. We're doing to them what they're doing to us. Why do you hate that? Why do you hate that? And they never have an answer. Then my second one is, okay, then what's your solution? What do you suggest we do? Well, and that's what I get every single time. So you have no ideas. You obviously hate America because you think we should lose our manufacturing sector. And yet you want to sit and complain about it constantly. And that amazes me. Absolutely amazes me. Now, do I want to pay more for goods? No. We're still reeling from the 4 Joe Biden years where he jacked up everything 30%. And like I said, we're paying record prices on everything. Our house insurance went up. Our car insurance went up. Our motorcycle insurance went up. Our food cost went up. Gasoline went up. Everything across the board went up under Joe Biden. Everything. Since Trump's been president, nothing on my side has gone up. Nothing at all. Actually, we're paying less for gas and less for eggs that the liberals love to complain about, which Joe Biden slaughtered all those chicken under his administration, all those chickens. That's why eggs went up. But it seems funny to me they constantly want to whine and cry and complain without seeing what the end result is. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. This could be, and it could be, the worst thing for America. I don't know. But this could be the best thing for America. I don't know. But before you jump off the deep end, well, how can this be good for America when prices are going to go up? Well, but prices might not go up. Let Trump work the deal. Let's see what happens. It just started. For the love of God, relax. And let's see what the outcome is. The stock market will come up. It always does. Always. Trump, who's the consummate negotiator, will make deals that benefit America. It's going to take a little time. But like I said, according to the liberals, we should just do what every other president before him has done, and let's just add another $63 trillion to the debt, because that's a hell of a great idea. Absolutely brilliant.